Let's talk about individualization at work. So, you are really all about knowing what makes each individual person tick. You really know all of the right questions to ask. You're very keen on observing people, all with the intention of finding people's strengths and the best ways to utilize them. When it comes to a work environment and pursuing goals or KPIs or just kind of mission, vision, values of an organization, people with other strengths or different strengths may look for the perfect structure or process or practice in order to bring about success at work. But you really believe and have seen that the secret to the best teams is forming groups based on individual strengths so that people spend less time and energy toiling on the things that they find uninteresting or unnatural to them, and more time on things that they most naturally are strong at and enjoy. And this is what you seek out in order to bring success to an organization or to work. You really believe that the makeup of the team is what brings you success ultimately, not necessarily the structure of the work or the process or the practice, but the people. So there's a little bit of this like arranger feel, which we talked about several days or weeks ago, when it comes to individualization, because a special part about this strength is not just that you know people or you can observe people and understand what makes them unique. It's that your goal in understanding people's uniqueness is to then be able to take that information and put different people together to work and live in their best, most productive ways possible. So at work, this really means that you have a propensity for building strong, effective, and satisfied teams, because when you're focusing on what people are good at and you're building teams based on that, that means more people are spending more time doing things that they're good at, which means they're likely more satisfied with their work, and less time doing things that they are less naturally adept at. I would say as a leader of teams, one of the things that your team probably appreciates most about you is your ability to know each and every person on the team, know what they bring to the table, and be able to treat them and, train them and give them work accordingly. Because on your team, I would imagine that whenever possible, you are assigning work or tasks or projects based on what you know the people around you will enjoy doing, will do the best, which ultimately leads to more satisfied employees who get to do what they do best every day. And wouldn't we all love that? I would also imagine that on your team, maybe different from teams across the organization, it's likely that the individuals that make up your team have really clear visions or plans for where they want to go with their career, mainly because you have helped them learn that and speak that out loud. Part of this is because you are able to really identify where people thrive, and by helping them identify that for themselves, you're also helping them to see what they want to keep doing, do more of, what they want to do less of. And so that helps to create a plan forward. It helps to create a better idea of what they might want to do next in their career or in a next role or something of that nature. I would guess that your team is maybe one of the few that actually has professional development plans that you check frequently and make plans about. Because I know that that's not the most common, right? Even when professional development is a value of the organization and it's something that's kind of passed down to leaders, it's likely that there's a little something extra going on with you and your team because of your individualization strength. So when we think about blind spots at work for individualization, and know that when I say these, you might be like, that's so untrue. That's why it's a blind spot. Whether you're a leader or not, your focus on individuals, their strengths, their needs can sometimes seem to others like favoritism. If they aren't the ones that are on the receiving end of your strength of individualization, or they just aren't able to recognize it, even if they are on the receiving end of it, this is something that can really lead to some bitterness and some feelings of, oh, well, that person's the favorite, when in reality, you're likely doing that with everyone. They just might not have noticed it. So for you, one thing kind of across the board to remember is that this is a beautiful, wonderful strength. There are also times where it is okay and even maybe a better approach to treat everyone the same, to kind of provide the same feedback or the same resources, even if deep down you know, like, this person might need this and this person might need this and this person might need this. This is kind of another thing to keep in mind, probably more so if you're a leader, but really if you're in any sort of situation at work where you might be mentoring or even training or teaching, when you realize that certain people need certain supports and certain attention, it's likely that you'll also realize that other people don't need those supports and don't need that attention. And that's what I'm talking about when I say it might seem like favoritism, or it might seem like, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, or whatever that saying is, where you're actually giving more to this person or this group of people because you can see that they need more, but the group that doesn't need as much might feel a little bit like, what the heck? Why are we not getting the same kind of attention? So just something to keep an eye on. If you are really giving something to everyone, make sure you're giving something to everyone. And if not, find times and spaces where it's appropriate to just kind of give blanket attention, blanket resources, et cetera, et cetera. Another potential blind spot to just look out for is that your need to individualize can sometimes slow down your work. So if you can partner with someone who has strengths that can help you either get going or keep things moving or on track, while still being able to utilize your individualization, that's really going to be an ideal situation. However, if you aren't in a work environment where you can partner with people in that way, it's just something to keep an eye on. Keep timelines for yourself, keep milestones and deadlines. Make sure you're meeting those, because that need to really personalize when it comes to, and again, this will maybe show up more in management than anything else, and individualize each of those practices can take up a lot of time. And it's definitely worth it in a lot of ways. But if you're on a timeline and you need to get something done, just something to keep an eye out on. So as a leader, you are employed specifically to support a team in moving the mission of the organization forward. So be careful not to get so caught up in supporting the individual on your team and their unique skills and abilities and needs that you avoid making hard personnel decisions, that you start dropping the ball on certain necessary tasks because you didn't find anyone who was most naturally adept at doing that task, or that just projects get delayed because you're so focused on individuals' development. Now, I hate saying that and making it sound like being focused on individual development is a bad thing, but sometimes when we're so focused on, for lack of a better way of saying it, kind of making the individual comfortable or meeting all of their needs without sort of pushing them to excel, pushing them to maybe step outside their comfort zone and do more, it can really cause challenges for the team. It can cause challenges for the project. It can cause challenges for the organization overall. So really make sure to use your individualization to help those on your team thrive. But don't forget the overall goal and big picture that you're working toward, and that is your ultimate responsibility as a leader of a team. So those are the things that we have, both the beauty of individualization and the potential blind spots in work. Let's talk about individualization in life in the next video.